Hello kaiju fans, welcome back to the Kaiju World Order. My name is MM, and this is going to be a review for episode 3 of Ultraman Teo. And this episode is going to be picking up right after the events of the prior one. It is, after all, a two-parter, so I'm assuming if you're seeing the review, you already know what happened in the prior episode, so I'm not going to bother doing a recap. And if you haven't watched episode 3 yet, and you are avoiding spoilers, then you know the drill. Skip ahead. If not, again, it's going to be on you. So I'm going to get right on into it here with the review, and again, heavy spoilers lay ahead. This series is shaping up pretty quick. So the episode kicks off right at the end of the previous. Teo is engaged in combat with both Sadara and the second Biologa, while Miss Mile-Wide Eyes and her son and old man sidekick, the Professor, are watching on and discussing things. Ultraman Teo is eventually overwhelmed and forced to transform back into a Buki, and is pretty much just taken entirely out of the fight. And Sadara's entire stomach region opens up and it straight up snacks on Biologa. This is a power very similar to Bogle and Ultraman Mebius, where she would actually consume entire monsters, such as Gudon, via an external mouth organ. Sadara ends up flying away, and these two sketchy people end up finding Ibuki nearly unconscious. Ibuki ends up running off, and I will say the set design with the destroyed city looks pretty solid. Some nice little details in it, like the broken vending machine. And Ibuki questions why kaiju are appearing on Earth and tries to transform once more in order to give chase to the now airborne Sadara. But he learns he can't transform so quickly after just using his powers. Sadara was projected to be heading directly toward the professor's lab, where he had been studying the tale of the first Biologa killed by Teo a few days before. As an evacuation was ordered and the astrology club tried to figure out how to evacuate their little mascot Poochie without raising suspicion, the little monster had its own plans and ran off. Sadara arrived and had a pretty cool battle with some drones. They weren't miniature and instead fully CGI, but the battle looked no less real nor fake as what miniature work of today does. It was a fun little scene, but I do admit I wish they had used miniatures for at least the final shot as the drone skidding to a stop in front of the camera. It was a shot that was very reminiscent of the scene of the jets coming down in Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. Ibuki nearly lets out that he's Ultraman Teo, as he and the others try and figure out what to do about the missing Poochie and if they should get help from the public. Unfortunately, not everybody is willing to trust Poochie and the mysterious Ultraman Teo, while some others do. The woman in black tries and gets Sadara's attention with the professor's sample of Biologa DNA or blood or whatever was in the vial, but it pays zero attention to her. No, Sadara wasn't after the remains of Biologa, it was after Poochie, who would have guessed. As everyone looked on, Sadara slurped up Poochie like a wet noodle. The little guy was launched into the air and nearly swallowed, but Ibuki saved the day and turned into Teo and saved him. We got this great shot of Teo rolling down the street and freeing Poochie, and now is what we have all been waiting for all this time. One-on-one Ultraman Teo versus Sadara. Sadara opened up the fight by going invisible. It attacked Teo from all sides, using lasers and physical strikes. Before he even knew it, Teo's color timer was flashing red, and he could barely hit the monster. Sadara simply spammed its invisibility and lasers. However, seeing this, Poochie took it upon itself to gain its attention. Dropping the invisibility act for but a brief moment, Sadara turned its back on Teo and left itself open. Teo attacked, but the winged monster didn't respond in normal. Instead, its tail turned into a drill and it began to move underground. Teo now knew where it was, unfortunately. When it came back, it tried to devour him, but instead it got a good taste of Teo's energy attacks before being put down by his whatever this is golden shower ray. The day and Poochie were saved, the professor's samples are returned to him, Poochie's wounds bandaged again, and the astrology club continued to come to terms with how they now live in a world filled with giant monsters, aliens, and having to figure out who's the good guy and who's the bad guy in all of this. End credits. Episode 4, coming soon. I gotta say, I really like this episode. Sadara is a really cool monster, and I hope we get an Ultra 500 figure of him before he gets recycled into another new monster for another new show in a year or two. The opening mouth bit, which I like to call a gorge, it's something that originated back in Ultraman Jack, Return of Ultraman with Bemstar. I used to call that a gorge. It's what I used to call it on the Monster Archives circa like 2006, 2012, and it's now been picked up on sites like Ultraman Wiki. And I want to imagine that Sadara's is going to be called a gorge also, at least that's what I'm calling it. It functions just like the Bogle gorge mouth, again, whatever you want to call it, from Ultraman Mebius. We've seen it before. The effect and everything is also very similar to what we just saw last year with, I believe its name was Zamara or whatever. It was a chimera monster that was eating other monsters with its tail. Very similar motive, same gimmick, same effect, never gets old. The monster, as I said in the prior video, I really like the design, the tongue, the cloaking, now this external mouth gimmick. Very original monster. I hope we see more of it. At the very least, as I said, I want a Ultra 500 figure of it, and I would like to see it get another episode in Teo before just getting tossed to the wayside like everything else does. And until next time, Kaiju fans, peace out, and Minya, take it away.
Says you should like and subscribe.